welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how I use the post-round summary and how I use analytics to help me figure out what I need to work on next and how I need to get better. I'm going to focus on the round that I recently played at Pecan Hollow. If you haven't seen those videos already, I would go back and watch those to catch up. You can see how I played, and then this will show how I diagnose that to know what to work on next time. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to the channel, please do. Alright, so since this is a round I've already played and not immediately after, we're going to go to history here to take a look, and we're looking at the Pecan Hollow round that I played a few weeks ago. Let's go to the summary and dive right in. At the top, you're going to get the scorecard. Obviously, I shot 69, so this is one of the best rounds I've played, certainly in some time. I don't shoot under par often, certainly don't break 70 often, it being a par 71 helped. That being said, there's always stuff that I can work on, and one of the things I realized putting the YouTube videos together is just how many extra opportunities I had on the golf course. I really could have gone super low. I did survive a few bad shots, but for the most part, I was in great position all day, and really it could have been much lower than a 69. Looking at the statistics in par golf is going to help me understand where I could get better, where I did lose those strokes. So let's dive in. It all starts for me with the mental scorecard. I like to have that enabled in par golf so I can track every shot, whether I was committed or distracted on the shot. Just a simple binary answer. Were you committed to what you were doing, or were you distracted? Were you thinking about something else? Were you non-committed to your line? In this case, you can see that I was committed to 93% of the shots that I tracked. That's a pretty good number. A realistic target overall is, say, 95%. Nobody's perfect, right? You're gonna have some shots where you're not committed to line or you're thinking about something else. So 95% is a great number. I was at 93. But what jumps out to me is with the par golf scorecard, it really breaks it down by category. And if I look across driving, approach, short game, driving's not so good. I was only committed to 76% of my drives on this day. So shot 69, got away with it, but I probably hit some squirrely drives because of non-committal. And when we get to the driving stats, you're gonna see that. So mental tips, it really shows that when I was non-committed, I was losing 2.25 strokes. When I was committed, I gained 1.83. So there's certainly value, and there's a piece of that that's mental. They say golf is 80% mental. Comes across very clearly here with the quality of the golf shots that I'm hitting. If you jump to the greens and regulations section, I hit 13 greens on this day out of 18. That's pretty good for me. That's not bad for a tour player even. That 13 greens, if you average it around a bunch of golfers, correlates to a score of about 69. That's what you should be shooting. Since I shot a 69, what that tells me is I really didn't throw away any shots on the greens. I did a good job putting and got the most out of the approach shots that I hit, the greens that I hit. One thing that par golf does that a lot of apps don't is not only does it tell me how many greens I hit, but it tells me why I missed the greens that I missed. I missed 5 greens, and of those, 2 of them were due to driving. I hit myself into either penalty or recovery situations and couldn't advance it to the green. So that's not really a reflection of my ball striking with the irons, that's tee shots. And that goes back to the mental piece we just mentioned. I did miss 3 greens due to approach. That's gonna happen. That's not a bad number. It's something to work on and something to keep track of as you keep going. In general, of all the traditional stats, greens is the one that correlates most with scoring. So you do want to hit greens, you do want to understand when you miss greens, why you miss greens. Par golf makes that crystal clear. All right, let's drive into strokes gained, which is one of my personal favorite things to go look at because it really takes the emotion out of the round of golf. And this was one of the few rounds, if maybe the only round I've ever played where I gained strokes in all 4 categories. I gained 1.7 strokes driving, 1.9 strokes approach, 1.7 strokes short game, and 0.8 strokes putting against a scratch handicap. Now that handicap reference is configurable in par golf, so wherever you are in your golf journey, you can set it to try to march towards that next goal. But for me, I'm playing somewhere between a 1 and a 2 handicap, so I'm trying to get to scratch. And to gain strokes in all 4 categories against a scratch handicap, that's really solid golf. I'm proud of that. But if I look amongst all of those, the biggest differential to my normal performance was approach. My iron game was much sharper than it normally is. I normally lose 3 to 4 strokes to a scratch handicap, so to gain almost 2 strokes was big on this day. The other thing that I love about par golf is it doesn't just stop there at strokes gained. Tells you why you gained or lost the strokes that you did by each category. Really gives you some details that you can translate to practice. Because if I told you, hey, you only gained 0.8 strokes putting, okay, what do I work on? Lag putts, short putts, what do I work on? Par golf has the answers. Let's start with driving. If I look at the driving plot specifically, it shows me a tree map. Now this is showing vertically, it increases in distance, and then horizontally, it's showing my dispersion. So at a quick glance, you can see that really I kept almost all of my drives within plus or minus 20 yards of the center of the fairway. That's good. The other thing that jumps out at me is the red lines. Red lines means I hit it into recovery shots, and both of those were to the left. So when I did miss, I tended to really hit it off the toe and kind of hook it into trouble. So not being committed, that's my miss. I need to get better at that. I did have one penalty where I missed it to the right. That was the one where I just straight blocked it with the wind. I wasn't committed to that one either, but in general, I'm more okay with that miss. In this round, it hurt me. In most rounds, that's a safer one than the hook to the left that kills me. Overall, I averaged 293 yards, 296 with my driver. Hit the ball pretty long, covering 71% of the hole. You want that number to be above 60%. If it's below 60%, that means you're probably playing a golf course that's too long for you, and you're not gonna have very many birdie opportunities. Golf's no fun if you don't have birdie opportunities. So 71% is actually on the high side, so I was driving the ball long today, for the most part, keeping it in play. The other thing that jumps out that I like to keep track of is this mistakes over here on the bottom right. So I did have 3 mistakes on this day, 1 penalty and 2 recovery shots. Those almost always translate to bogeys. So you wanna minimize those. I've gone over those kind of in detail in the other videos, but that commitment to the driver is gonna help me minimize those mistakes. I've gotta find a target and a club that I like so I can commit to it and swing free, because when I do, my driving's pretty good. All right, let's jump on down to the approach section. For approach, this was a phenomenal day for me. I went from losing 3 to 4 strokes to a scratch handicap to gaining almost 2 strokes on this day. Again, I like to look at the mistakes. I didn't make any mistakes today. Didn't hit any penalties or recovery shots or into the sand with my irons. That's fantastic. I only missed 3 greens out of my reasonable opportunities. One thing you'll notice in Par Golf's approach section is it's saying 12 out of 15. Why is it not saying 12 out of 18? Well, if we go all the way back to the beginning, it showed you that I missed greens due to my driver, and those are not counted against me. So I hit 12 out of 15 greens. When I did miss, I tended to miss short and or right, but I didn't miss very many. So there's not a whole lot that I would take out of it for this round, but that's something that you always want to keep track of as you play more and more rounds. One of those greens I missed was a near green. That means I hit it to the fringe on the apron where I could get a putter on it, and it's effectively a real green. Either way I look at that, with my approach score, it's saying I could have shot a 68. So really solid approach striking on the day. Average proximity of 22 feet. That's good. That's a lot of birdie looks. Really solid day for me. In fact, this is telling me that I played with my irons almost like a pro, -6 handicap. So yeah, I'm happy with that. All right, next up is short game, where I gained 1.7 strokes. Really, my short game was kind of a tale of 2 halves. On the first 9, I had a lot of greens that I missed where I had opportunities to chip in for eagle or get up and down for birdie, like the first hole, the third hole, the 9th hole, and I didn't do a good job of getting up and down. I did make par on most of those, but I wasn't really giving myself the good birdie look. I can tell for me that my mindset changes a little bit if I'm getting up and down for birdie versus getting up and down for par. In one, I'm committed and there's a sense of urgency for me to do it. In the other, it's kind of a nice to have defensive, not as aggressive. And lo and behold, I do better getting up and down for par than I do for birdie. That's a mindset thing I got to work on, but Par Golf shows me those statistics. It kind of shows me where I am strokes gained overall. Overall, I was getting it to 9 feet. Overall, I scrambled 44%. Those are all good numbers, but it was a tale of 2 halves, and we can look at the scorecard to see that. I actually scrambled really good on the second half, not so good on the first half. All right, lastly, there is putting. Putting, I gained 0.8 strokes on a scratch handicap. Solid. If I look at it, for an average round, a PGA Tour pro makes somewhere around 72 feet of putts. I made 64 feet of putts today, so there was opportunity for me to do better than I did. I'm not mad at the way that I putted. Overall, I was still gaining strokes against a scratch handicap. Par Golf breaks it really into 3 main categories, which I love because it makes it easy to digest. Short putts, those are less than 6 feet. I didn't miss any, didn't have any 3 putts, gained strokes making all of those putts, and I had a couple that I had to grind over to save pars. That's what keeps the round together. Medium, I was only 2 for 11. These are ones that are, we call kind of makeable, but you shouldn't expect to make them. I made 2 of 11 or 18%. I actually lost strokes here. I had so many opportunities between 6 and 20 feet. I should have made more than I did statistically, right? So if I go back and look at the video, I missed a lot, low and left. So what does that tell me? When the greens are fast, I'm under reading them. I'm not playing enough break. I can take that to practice. Practice my reading, practice my speed. I will make more of these medium putts. Par Golf, if you turn on the track putt details, you can track like I do, whether you miss low left, high right, and all that. It really helps with your green reading. Gives you another thing that you can go focus on when you get to practice. Long putts, I didn't make any long putts over 20 feet, but I didn't 3-putt any of them either. All you're trying to do from long range is lag, make it easy. If it goes in, it's a bonus. So overall, I putted really well. Gained 0.8 strokes, didn't give anything away. Opportunity for improvement, fast greens, need to read more break. Simple as that. The last thing I'll do as part of this summary analysis is go into the scorecard. Because in the scorecard, you can almost get a play-by-play of what happened even across strokes gained category. I love this heat map because it allows me to really go through my round almost hole by hole, shot by shot, and say, yeah, okay, that was an opportunity to get better. Why did I do what I did? So if I scroll through this, right, the first hole, I made a par, which is good, but I was red with the putter. I missed an 8-foot putt and honestly probably could have chipped it better. I wasn't really stoked with the chip on hole number 1. If I kind of just glanced through this going down, totally blew it on hole number 3. Par 5, inside of 200 yards for my second shot, blew it to the right, poor chip shot, poor putt, and a par. So when I kind of looked through that front 9, when I was explaining earlier looking at short, is I've got 3 red boxes in the short game on the front 9. All of those were birdie opportunities that I just didn't hit really good shots. When I scroll a little bit further down to the back 9, you'll see that my short game is all green. So I cleaned it up on the back 9, got up and down and made a lot of those pars. But what happened on the back 9? My driving got a little wild. I hooked one left where I got a little quick, and the other one I blocked where I wasn't quite committed to hitting it downwind. I can kind of take all that information, get a feel for the round. There's some specific things driving I want to work on. There's some specific things short game I want to work on in terms of committing to those up and downs for birdie. And there's some things putting that I want to work on. All of that on a round I shot 69. So imagine if I had played poorly, how much I could have gotten out of it. But I have very specific action items that I'm going to take with me to the practice green. The next time I practice, I'm going to take it with me to practice indoors on my little putting mat that I have here. There's lots of stuff that I can do, and it's all empowered by Par Golf with that round summary. So if you want to get better, you want to play your best golf, I don't see how you do it without analytics. Everybody's using it. I think Par Golf has the best analytics out there, mainly because I coded it, I use it. I'm a believer. I promise you, if you buy into this and start tracking your round, you will play better golf. If you have some ideas on what we could do better, you have some ideas on what features are missing, let me know. Let's play better golf together. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching the video. Let's use analytics and course management to play better golf.